Well, this is just an unbelievable treat to have two Hall of Famers join me here on the podcast. And the reason I want to get to all the current hockey, your take on what's next, and just your take on the state of the game right now. But the reason you're here is because of your participation in this new summer league that's going to be debuting in June of 2021. And I guess my first question is it thrice or is it three ice?
Larry, you take that one.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ross. I can handle that one. Anything more complicated, I'm in trouble. But yeah, it's actually three ice, even though that we get that question on a regular basis. But yeah, it is three ice, and of course, for obvious reasons, as I'm sure you are going to explain.
Yeah, I think it's a great theory. So the league is going to be 8 teams consisting of 6 skaters and 1 goalie. You're going to play an 8-week regular season. And it's like a traveling show. It's kind of like the Premier Lacrosse League, where every week you're in a different city, except you're doing a single elimination tournament each week, culminating in that, after a bye week in week 9, a championship in week 10. Everyone loves – you got to be a real hockey purist that just doesn't like change if you don't love 3-on-3 overtime. So, Bryan, let's start with you and your take on why you think this will – take off for hockey fans.
Well, 3-on-3 hockey is pretty exciting. It's wide open hockey, a lot more room out there, but I think it's an opportunity, I think, for players to really showcase their skills, speed. There'll be lots of offense, obviously. It's attack. There'll be 2-on-1s and maybe some 3-on-1s who blows the skate, but I think the goaltenders are you'll see a lot of action. They're still working on some rules. They want to keep the puck moving. They want to have very few face-offs. And so Larry and I, as coaches, might be a part of some of those rules. But we think it's exciting for the fans. And obviously, if we can promote hockey in the purest sense, I think that's another thing that kind of attracted me to it. I think when you're looking at maybe advancing young hockey players that are playing at the highest level, maybe they're playing East Coast, maybe they jump to the American Hockey League, maybe someone sees them, they get an NHL shot. So that's another thing that was kind of intriguing to me. So if we can help these kids kind of advance to another level, I think it brings for me a chance to mentor again. I really enjoy that aspect of it. It's not bench coaching, because it's like, okay, roll the lines, roll the players, but there is a little. I'm sure we'll end up having a little bit of strategy, mind games, whatever. But I think for me, it's really a chance to mentor, encourage, and then promote hockey in the purest sense.
Yeah, I think that's sorry, Robert. I think just to jump on his comments, it's going to be there. There is going to be decisions made. We're gonna draft our team, so then you obviously have to decide what kind of look you want. And I think there are going to be points in the game where, especially if you're down, obviously you might short shift one of the lines. That's going to be tough because, as Trotz points out, I mean, the flow it's just going to be continuous. And for these kids, and there's potential for NHL players to play in it too. It's going to be high pace. It's going to be high skill. And boy, it's as they say, it's going to be hockey at its best. And 3-on-3, who doesn't love it? I mean, that's one of the best things the NHL has done in a number of years, is when they implemented the 3-on-3 overtime, and 3 ice is just taking that and running with it.
And the motto is overtime all the time for this league. And it's easy to understand why a playmaker like Trotz would love this. But as a defenseman, granted, an offensive defenseman, but as a defenseman, when you first heard they were going to 3-on-3, did you like the idea, or did you think, come on, you're ruining with the integrity of the game as a defenseman? Or did you know right away this is going to be wild and fun?
Well, the thing is, it's not there. There is obviously a possibility of 3-on-3 in hockey during regulation play. It had, very, very seldom happened over the history of the game, but it was still part of it. So this is not some cockamamie scheme that the league came up with, the NHL, when they implemented 3-on-3 in overtime. They just realized, boy, this is such an exciting element. And then touching on the defense part, yeah, the forwards. Typically you're going to have 2 forwards, 1 defenseman on the ice. But you rely heavily on those forwards to be able to get back, obviously, and help the defensemen. So, and there are points in the game because of the flow of 3-on-3. There's going to be situations where the defensemen will be, whether they're cycling, will be deep in the play, and you got 2 forwards back. So you're going to rely on them to be able to play in their own zone. And of course, you got to be so careful with shot selection, because you miss the net, it's pretty well guaranteed a 2-on-1 in the other direction.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think like Larry loved to jump up in the play, and defensemen love to jump in the attack. It's nice to defend, be the goaltender's best friend, but who doesn't like to score a goal or create plays? And that's an exciting part of the game for everybody. So a lot of coaches are promoting their players to jump in the attack. We want to attack 4 players. We keep one safety valve, and if we can outman the other team on attacks, that's what we want to do. So yeah, I think it's an opportunity again for defensemen to showcase their offensive skills, and for forwards to obviously promote a little bit of defensive skill. Who knows? You might be skating backwards, poke checking somebody. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely is a skill set that you are going to rely on your forwards. They're going to have to be able to. There's going to be situations where they're going to be the lone guy back, and they've got to know how to play a 2-on-1. And then Rob, just to jump back even farther on talking about the goaltenders, they're gonna see nothing but quality chances, because in 3-on-3 hockey, it's not 5-on-5 where just get it at the net and see if there's a scramble. That is very rare in 3-on-3. You hang on to the puck until you see the whites of the goalie's eyes, and usually at that point it's a great scoring chance. So these goalies are going to be forced to make NHL today, goalies are basically shot blockers. Well, that's not going to fly, because there's going to be a lot of passes in front of the net across the crease, and these goalies are going to see a lot of highly great scoring chances against them.
Yeah, it'll be quality, and I think it's an opportunity for them to showcase a little of their athleticism, agility, acrobatics, saves from like the good old days, but they got to be looking for that. Not only the first good save, but like Larry said, the second, third chance around the net. So it'll be exciting for the fans, and we hope it's going to be as exciting for the players.
How about Trotz? Do you think we'll see the old double pack stack?
Oh, maybe. The Kenny Reggett 2-pad slide.
Yeah, 2-pad slide.
Well, I don't know if goalies are going to be as excited as you two seem to be about this, because you're right. I mean, it is just going to be one, grade A chance. Look, Grant Fuhr is one of the coaches, so the fact that he signs off on it, clearly, the goalie coalition's involved in this. But, man, I don't know if I'd want to be a goalie and get involved.
Hey, well, it's funny. That was almost the situation Grant was in when he was with the Oilers. They were more than happy to trade you all night long. So he was a guy that was very used to seeing outman chances against him, and he excelled at it. Boy, he had the mindset to handle that. And the goaltender in this league is going to have that same sort of approach.
It really is. It's a mindset for them, and it's an attitude. And some players thrive on that. Some goaltenders thrive on that. They thrive on that challenge. And those are the goalies that'll probably be in the league. It will be the goalies that want to shine and making those kinds of saves and seeing that kind of action and just promoting themselves. I think it's good for the game. It's good for them. It'll be great for the fans.
So it's interesting. In the first story I read, like one of the names that was mentioned as a type of player that you guys would be going after was Connor Carrick, who played for a little bit with the Caps. Fans are familiar with him. Maybe a little undersized for the league right now. Hasn't really found a permanent spot in the NHL, and that's a guy that could potentially get a chance. But I was thinking about it. I was talking about it with some guys that I work with covering the Caps. And there's probably kids out there who are YouTube sensations and guys who could do amazing tricks with the puck, and the guys who will try and score on the lacrosse goals. What type of player do you guys want to go after to be in this league? Because you're going to have to sell it when you don't have Connor McDavid and the best player, Evgeny Kuznetsov, the best players in the world. Who are you identifying as players to go after?
Well, for me, I think it's skill, and more skill. I don't think you want hot dogs. I think hot dogging is not a big part of hockey, but there will be a little bit of hot dogging, I imagine. But I don't think we're going to promote the hot dogging aspect of it. It's showcase your skills, and I think those kinds of players shine. They tend to pop themselves above the crowd. Like hot dogs are hot dogs, and they kind of get weeded out somehow. Even though they're high skill, They're maybe not team-minded or whatever, but I think you're looking for guys that are creative. They have great skill, opportunity, quick transition. Those are the players you want up front. And like we talked about the goalies, you want that goalie to be hungry. You're gonna see some action. You're gonna see some quality shots. So don't get down on yourself. Hey, there's some skill out here. And you see it on 3-on-3, I'd say, oh my God, that goalie's going to go home and just be like devastated. And they're like, oh my God, did you see that? The saves I made? That's what they remember. It's like, wasn't the ones that go in, it's the saves they made. And you got to have that attitude, because you're trying to hold your team into it so that you guys can come home as the winners.
Now, they're talking about the actual players that are going to be invited. There's going to be a tryout camp before the season starts, and all players are going to be signed. And the players that aren't drafted are going to be released after camp. So it's not a case of just, bring your skates and show up. They are already putting together a list, and it's going to be difficult. There's going to be a number of players that the league is not going to invite to their camp because they just don't have the room for them. So it's going to be a tough decision on deciding which. I don't know what the number is. Maybe, Trotz, I don't know if it's 100, 120 guys that are going to come to camp, and half of them are going to be cut. So these are all guys, they're going to be scouted before the league plays. It's not going to be a case of a guy coming in, bringing his skates and stick and saying, hey, let me show you. No, these guys are going to be established in one way or another. Might be Trotz talked about East Coast players. It could be college players coming out, an opportunity for them during that summer before the NHL season comes, for them to hone their skills, because, boy, you're going to play at such a high pace that's going to help them take that step to the National Hockey League.
And I think while you guys figure out how to sell the players, right now you're going to sell the coaches. And obviously you two are involved in it, 2 Hall of Famers. The names are all legendary. Guy Carbonneau, Grant Fuhrer, Ed Johnson, Joe Leclerc, Joe Mullen, Angelo Ruggiero, which I think is a brilliant move by the league to do this. Larry, how important was it to get some star value? And beyond just the star value, you're talking about all-time greats who, as Trotz alluded to before, can mentor these young players and teach them how to play and how to win at any level.
Well, I wasn't aware of the coaching lineup when it was brought to me, and I didn't ask who else was coaching. Craig Patrick, the commissioner of the league, brought the opportunity to me. We discussed about the format, and I go, oh man, that's all. I'm all in. I mean, it's a type of coaching I want to be involved in. So they knew. Craig said to me, there's going to be a lot of named people that are going to coach teams. We've got tremendous amount of interest in that area, but I was flattered they would want me on the staff. So boom, I'm in. I didn't see the line. I didn't know Trotz was a coach until after I agreed. So maybe they didn't tell Trotz that I was coaching, so that might have been enough for him to say, hey, I don't want to do with
it. But no, it was, I think Craig's a wonderful salesman, and he sold me on it really fast too. Eddie Johnson is a coach. So working with EJ, you got a lot of former Penguins here like that have played through the Penguin organization. John Leclerc, Joe Mullen, myself, Larry, Craig, EJ. And it's EJ's son, EJ, who's kind of like masterminding the whole thing with Steve Baker and some financial wizards. And I just say to myself, it's been a fun journey in that sense, but the sales job, I'm becoming a coach and working with the kids, and I think bringing a little credibility. I think they've done a wonderful job putting together the coaching staff, because it's a group of guys that they're not selfish. They're good selfish. They're sharing experiences. They're sharing some of their winning experiences. They're sharing some of their skill experience, and for me, that's the fun of it. Knowing Larry's in it, knowing Joey's in it, knowing EJ's in it, knowing John Leclerc and Angela. So Angela is a training wizard. Like what the stuff that she does with athletes, she's spectacular. And I've known Angela now almost 20 years, and she's not there just because she played for Team USA. She's going to bring something to the game, and she's very engaged. And I love working with Angela. She's got good spirits, great energy. So whatever team she's going to coach, they've got a wonderful, wonderful asset.
Well, hey, Robert, I got to point out that I am representing the Caps alumni, the lone Caps alumni. So I'm well aware of that pressure.
Well, I was going to say, Trotz is selling this as a bunch of former Penguins on a Capitals Talk podcast. Way to turn off the entire audience.
I'm making enemies. That's what
Yeah,
Right.
that's funny. I mean, it's such a rivalry between the two franchises. Man, you don't need to put any gas on the fire, which is great. I mean, it's just
healthy.
15 years. I mean, no bigger rivalry, I think, or one of the biggest, of course, is the Caps and Pens. When anytime they get together.
No, but it was fun. Like Larry with his Caps identity, me with the Islander pen. Like to be able to play with Larry and understand, because I only played against him for such a long time. We was in LA and Washington and a little bit in Minnesota, but. I said to myself, getting to know Larry over the years and the kind of competitor he is and what he brings to the game and the savvy, he's cerebral. He's a thinker, and I like that. And working with him over the years and getting to know him even better as a friend and former teammate, it's going to be a great group of guys working together, kind of like being rivals when we're on the ice, but we're all kind of promoting the same thing, and we want this thing to really kind of take off. And really showcase this thing. So that's kind of where our energies are as a coaching staff. And in talking to John LeClaire and Angela and Joe, it's really wonderful to feel that kind of that positive, same energy that Larry's bringing right now. So it's a shared kind of energy, and I love it.
Well, hey, Trotz that's very complimentary, and thank you very much. But he has an easy time doing that because when I was with the Caps and he was with the Islanders. I mean, they kicked our butt in the playoffs every year. So, I mean, that Islanders were the team we just could not get by. We had a great team in Wash, but unfortunately, Trotz and his Islanders were just that much better than us.
I always called myself the friendliest guy on the ice, Larry. So it wasn't me that beat you guys.
Yeah, real friendly.
Not me. Because that stingy guy in the net, Billy Smith, or that Mike Boss scoring them goal. I was just kind of throwing the puck around and letting those guys do all the dynamic stuff.
Trotz was a guy that there was guys that would work their way around you. Trotz was a guy that was just going to basically bowl you over with the puck. So he was coming. So.
Well, allow me here just for a second to fanboy out a little bit, because before you hopped on, Larry, I was telling Brian, I grew up 15 minutes from the Coliseum. So I was 8 when they won their first Stanley Cup. I was in the arena at 9 years old when they won their second. And I was like, well, this is the greatest sport in the world. My team wins every single year, right? What's not to love? And right now on my wall, I have the reprints from the 4 Newsday covers from each of the Stanley Cups. So, Brian, I just want to ask you, because Caps fans are seeing now what it's like to be a champion and how it changes everything, the perspective of the team, how the team is viewed, how the team holds itself accountable every day. When you were going through that run of 4 straight Stanley Cups and going to a 5th straight, what in the world was that like to be that dominant for that long?
Well, Rob, first, congratulations to the Caps. They've had just a series of great seasons, and to be able to accomplish a Stanley Cup, and I guess the little trinket that comes along with it, that Stanley Cup ring, to share that excitement with their Cap fans, I'm sure that's just pure joy for everybody. So congratulations there. And yes, there is accountability. There is that pride. There is that desire to repeat and do it all over again. You need depth, and you need great skill. You need that goal scorer. You need the playmakers. You need the foot soldiers. You need everybody to stay healthy. And of course, you need goaltending. You go nowhere without goaltending. But Larry, you can talk about special teams. Like our special teams with the Islanders, and obviously the Penguins. And you look at the special teams that the Caps have now. I mean, oh my God! Without that dynamic and that confidence, you don't prosper.
Well, yeah. I mean, you touched on all the elements, and of course, your special teams can win games for you. It's not always the case in the playoffs, but there are times when they are the difference. But I mean, just talking about winning the cup, and it took, we had a lot of frustrating years when I was with the Caps, teams that we thought we should have done a lot better, and they finally get over the hump. One of the reasons Bryan Trottier was brought to the Detroit Red Wings, to the Pittsburgh Penguins, is that he knows how to win, and he knew when to get into the playoffs. Because there's a lot of points where you're looking around, you go, how do you deal with this situation? Well, Trotz comes in with this experience, And basically, I mean, that just a settling effect on everybody. And it just goes to show you, I mean, you can't replace success. And of course, for the franchise, I mean, bringing the guy in and Trotz adds 2 more to get to 6. I mean, he brings in the experience and the talent, and you need both. You need to know how to win.
Well, there's that famous story, right, of Wayne Gretzky walking past the Islander locker room after the Islanders beat him for the 4th. And then Edmonton came back the next year and beat him in the Stanley Cup. And Gretzky looked in, Trotz, and all you guys are, you got ice packs, you're drinking beers and you're celebrating, but you look like a team that's been through a war to get there. And he said, that's what we need to look like at the end of the playoffs. We can't win, Larry, like you were saying, we're just run up and down the ice. You got to sacrifice everything. And there is no replacement for knowing how to win.
Well, Rob, I've heard that story 100 times from Paul Coffey. Obviously, we teammates here in Pittsburgh. He told me that story the first time. And that's not how we remember it, because we knew that the Edmonton Oilers had to walk by our locker room to get to their bus. So we had a stick boy stand outside the locker room to tell us when 1 or 2 of the players were coming by, because it's just not hockey to kind of rub salt in the wound, so when they're walking by, we don't have to be hooping and hollering. And the stick boy come running in and go, okay, a couple of guys are coming. So we be really calm, like altar boys. As soon as they go, they're gone. Woo! We go crazy again. And it's just so hockey, and when we told that to Paul and Wayne and the guys, and they're like, really? I said, well, not that bad, but it was a little bit like that. But no, what happens, and Larry, we all know this now because it becomes a compliment. Because at the time, you don't want to give away any of your secrets, but teams are studying you. Like we studied the Montreal Canadiens. The Islanders studied Montreal Canadiens, how they practiced, how they conducted themselves, their behavior, how they looked like champions, they dressed like champions. And Bob Johnson used to tell us that, if you look good, you feel good, you play good. And it was really kind of neat to hear that reinforced by a coach. But our Island team watched Larry Robinson and Guy Lafleur, how they practiced and how sharp they looked. Everything was crisp and zing, 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 zing. And so we wanted to be the champions that they were. So we studied them. And those creepy Oilers did the same thing to us. I call them the creepy Oilers, but they're great guys. But they studied us and they complimented us. And it's kind of a compliment when you think back. You're like, oh, yeah, that's what we did to the Montreal Canadiens is what the Oilers did to us. And, obviously teams are studying like the Caps now and the Penguins and, Larry's team from Detroit. And everybody's stealing something. The coaches are stealing something. The players are watching too. Because Paul and Wayne would say, boy, the way you guys moved that puck around the power play in the Islanders, that's the way we had to do it. And it was fun to hear those kinds of things after the fact, but we don't realize how much great athletes study other great athletes, and they want to become the champion that they are, so they can wear the crown and conduct themselves and behave like champions. And if you're going to lose to somebody, I always say this: lose to good people and lose to that guys appreciate being champions. Because that Oiler team are good guys. They're great champions. And we lost to them in '84 and it wasn't fun. But, in hindsight, we meet them afterwards and, they're so complimentary and vice versa. But it's great to see that they were great champions.
Larry, your experiences with the Stanley Cup are different because Bryan has this unbelievable run where that core, 16 guys won all 4 of those Stanley Cups together. So that core was together for so long. Yours are different. I mean, you've got 4 Stanley Cups. Between the two of you, you've got 10 combined. But when you join Pittsburgh and go on that run and then you repeat, and then you join Detroit and go on a run and repeat, what's it like to walk into something that's sort of established already, go next level, and then ride that wave?
Well, what's impressive, what the Islanders won 4 in a row. That first one, that's a case of everybody's hungry. Everybody wants to get that first one. And then number 2, well, you've already got it. So you've got to find a way to keep that momentum going, that hunger, that desire. And that's an issue in itself right there, how to do it. But it's winning the cup is a case of course, you need the horses and you need to play well. You need all the elements, great goaltending. But, there's I don't know how you feel about it, Trotz, but to me, the most frustrating, the most disappointing season was after we won the 2 in Pittsburgh and then that following season when we lost to the Islanders. I mean, that was a case of the biggest disappointment in my career, because I thought that was 3 years. I thought that was our best team, but we come up empty-handed. So it just goes to show you that, I mean, there's no guarantee when you get into the National Hockey League playoffs.
Well, it's really kind of interesting because Jaromir Jagr come in, back-to-back Stanley Cups as a rookie. And, they lose his third year in the season, lose to the Islanders. And when he goes, oh, the Stanley Cup is easy to win. No, the Stanley Cup is very difficult to win. And it's not just difficult because the other team is opposing it. It's the bounce. It's the referee call. It's some of that stuff that you have to overcome too. So anything can happen in a hockey game. In a game 7, that's the ultimate pressure cooker, so to speak. But it's the ones that have the good composure, or the goalie makes the big save, their momentum swings, whatever it is, take advantage of a lucky bounce. There's so many things that can happen in a game, and Larry's right. Like when you win one, you're so hungry. That second one, you got to really get a focus. You got to maintain that focus, and you got to be ready for anything, and you got to be constantly, pushing and prodding, encouraging each other, reminding, and the focus. And coaching obviously is a big factor. And if you have really good coaching, and Larry and I can both speak to Scotty and Bob Johnson, obviously, and me, Al Arbor, but I think when you have great coaching and they set that poise and the composure back there to something good's going to happen, boom, and they're commanders, they feel that you just build confidence back there from your coach. So that helps too.
Well, it's interesting, Trotz, like getting back to the 3 ice. I mean, of course, you're not playing for the Stanley Cup, but those are elements as a coach I think we're going to be called on. As you touched on, I mean, you got 6 skaters, so it's going to be a lot of, okay, just go back and forth with 3 guys. But I think as you touched on, you're going to be called on. You're going to get points in the game where, things aren't going so well and everybody's back on their heels, and you got to find a way to kind of get the team back on track. And those elements that you talked about, I mean, it's a different situation, but somewhat very similar in terms of what coaching is going to be like in this 3 ice league.
Fast and furious. That's what I keep thinking those things. Oh my God, my brain's got to speed up here a little bit.
When you look back on the Cup teams that you were on, Larry, the 2 Penguins teams and the back-to-back Red Wings team, can you draw any comparisons to what made those 2 sets of teams so great, and which teams were better?
Well, they're very similar. Which is surprising. I mean, that's the honest answer. A team that all those teams basically believed if they had the puck majority of the time, you're going to win the majority of the games. And it was a team that really believed in puck possession, and you need skill, you need depth. And Pittsburgh in the 3rd and 4th line, we had guys that were big contributors, and same in Detroit. There wasn't, you have your Marquis Mario Lemieux or your Steve Yzerman, but there wasn't a huge fall off from that. You had a tremendous amount of depth, and you outplayed. That's what I loved. I loved about Bob Johnson. I loved about Scotty Bowman, because we're going to outplay the opposition. That's what's going to win it for us. Yes, you're called on. You've got to be responsible in your own zone, and you've got to play your position, and you got to take on your responsibilities defensively. But hey, you got the puck most of the time. You're going to win, and that was what was very similar with both teams. High skilled guys that could handle the puck and could score goals.
Yeah, with that effort, you get rewarded, obviously. And when you're out working, out hustling, out playing the opposition, I mean, it just takes their confidence. It just kind of pushes it down a little bit. But obviously, the transitional aspect of the game, I think that Pittsburgh team was probably one of the best transition teams I've ever played on, like going from defense to offense and attack. And then you look at your Detroit team, Larry, like that team, depth-wise, it was attack. Power play was like, oh my God, this is just going to be a shooting fest. You guys thought pucks to the net, there's traffic to the net, drive the net. And those things pay dividends, and you get rewarded for that kinds of stuff. And I remember Al Arbor, his mantra was like, power play, I want to see shots. And I don't want to see anybody hold on to the puck for more than 1 second. And it's puck movement, trying to get those guys out of position. And anytime we can attack the net, we're attacking the net. I don't care if it's from the back of the net. I don't care if it's from the corner, from the half wall. down the middle, drive that net. Let's get some traffic. Let's create a second opportunity as much as we can. So championship teams, there's a lot of similarities. And when you have skill and depth and hunger and all those wonderful intangibles that come along with championship teams, you get rewarded. And good coaches are reminders, and they have just a poise and confidence about them. And I just really, I look back to all those teams, and even teams that are winning today, and look at their coaches, how cool and calm they look under stress. It seems like every game's like a 1-goal game now. They look very cool and calm. Okay, no problem. Here's what we're gonna do. Da 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 da. And they get their little boards out, and they look so good. But they're confident back there. Mike Sullivan, for example, he just has that booming voice there, and he's got that jaw that just kind of looks like, my God, he's in control.
Bryan, what was Larry Murphy like as a player? Because you look at the numbers, the 21 seasons, the offense, the 81-point season he had here with the Caps, only player to win back-to-back cups with 2 different franchises. I mean, so the resume is all there, but what was it about him as a player that made him so special?
Well, I think, we can talk about his skill for an hour, because Larry was a great passer, just a terrific stick handler. Pace on the pass, he always had the right pace on the pass. He was my Dennis Potvin with the Penguins, because the pass always hit my stick with the right pace on the pass. It wasn't always too hard, but it was in my wheelhouse, so I could control it. But he never put you in a bad spot, didn't give you a suicide either. But those kinds of things pay dividends when you have that kind of first pass outlet or support guy that you can give and go. And Larry was very smart and crafty in the sense that his timing to get to the puck, I like to put pressure on our defenseman to kind of get in his head a little bit, to kind of get him like jittered a little bit. Say, is he going to sting me or is he not? Larry had the right mindset to either get to the puck at the same time as you in the corner, or push you to the puck, push him to the puck, or just ride you into that point where you just had nothing to do with it. And great stick. He wasn't a mean guy in front of that, but he tied you up. And that's frustrating to a hockey player. Like, a guy beating on me and my stick's still able to get to a loose puck, I didn't mind. But Larry would tie my stick up and get me in a knot. And I'm like, would you stop this? Like, get it, like this. That's frustrating for a forward. It's more frustrating than getting beat on most of the time. But no, Larry's a great competitor. Just a thinker in the sense, he's mindful, and he's very he's team oriented in the sense that I'm going to support the attack at the right time. I'm not going to push anything. We're behind, obviously. He was even more so in the attack. But it's been wonderful in one sense, because they're replaying a lot of our championship games with the Penguins and some of the Islanders. But it's really wonderful to see how involved Larry was, and some of the punishment you took, Larry, too, was incredible. And you still kept right on it chugging. And that's impressive to have that kind of just impact on just a shift by shift, game by game, steady Eddie kind of, but, jumping in and making big plays, scoring big goals, power play quarterback. I mean, I'll sit here for another half hour and sing your praises. But,
I'm not stopping you, Trotz. I'm not stopping.
And the one thing about it is when you're teammates and you win championships together, there's that obviously that incredible bond, but beyond that, it's just that appreciation of each other. And as I get older, it's even more so. Like at the time, we're like, hey, yeah, good win. But on reflection, and you think, my God. And every time we bump into each other now, we're like, da-da-da. And we don't even talk hockey. We talk about kids or what's going on and everything else. But it's just such a fun friendship, spirit of brotherhood that hockey players have. So Larry's, I could sing Larry's praises for another hour.
Larry, when I asked him to talk nice about your game, I heard you laugh like here we go. What were you expecting him to say?
No, I wasn't. I was just, it's always very uncomfortable when somebody has nice things to say about you. So it puts you in, I don't know, I find an uncomfortable position. So, I mean, I hope you give me the opportunity to put Trotz right back there.
Have at it, because obviously the numbers for Trotz were remarkable, and to do it for that long at that high a level and be the leader that he was on those great teams. What did you love about his game?
Well, this is a condensed version, but Trotz, you have a guy that's in the skill department, one of the all-time greats. And then you put that together with a guy that plays 200 feet from behind his goal line to the opposition's goal line. Very effective, very responsible, which is not always the case with a guy with a lot of talent. So, I mean, that's why Trotz is a captain. I mean, the commitment to the game. And like personally playing against Trotz when I was with the Caps and he was with the Islanders, is you paid the price. I mean, you had a guy out there that was scoring goals, creating offense, being responsible. But boy, you felt like you got hit by a truck every time you played because he didn't make it easy on you. There are great players that you play against where you can say, they're easy to play against in the sense that, they're going to make you look bad at times, but you're going to come out of it and you're not going to be beaten up. Well, you play against Trotz, he's going to make you look bad, and at the same time, you're going to feel like you were just in a war. So, I mean, he had the ability through talent and through that commitment that he destroyed teams in the sense that they just felt like they just got run over, and I think that's you're going to be very hard pressed to find anybody that's played in the game go through the history that brought that complete element that Trotz did.
Thanks, Larry. It's really fun because I didn't have a dynamic. I wasn't like a dynamic goal scorer. I wasn't a dynamic player. like Yzerman and the Lemieux and Murphy's Coffee. They had dynamics to their games. I didn't have a lot of that. I was kind of a give and go guy, support, little soft picks, that kind of stuff. And it was really kind of fun working with young skill guys like Jaromir Jagr, who was trying to learn the North American game, but a good student. And you see all of a sudden he comes alive on these little soft give and goes. He's like, oh, I like this give and go. Teach me more. Oh, okay, well, this is called a soft pick. I give you the puck. You give me the puck. I touch it back to you. You come behind me, and I'll kind of steer the defenseman away from you, and you can kind of use us both as a screen. He loved learning that stuff. You got some real dynamic hockey players with the Caps now, and I'm a big TJ Oshie fan, but obviously the Ovechkin and his hammer slap shot. I mean, who wants to get in front of that? They know it's coming, and still finds that it's amazing that he can continue that. But those dynamics really help those high level skill game. I'm just kind of proud of my little career in one sense because I didn't have one dynamic. But thank you for all those wonderful compliments, Larry.
Well, I'm not gonna let Trotz off the hook there. Okay, are you going to, when you're looking at Wayne Gretzky, you're looking at Bryan Trottier, you're going to make the argument, say Bryan Trottier played the game the same way as Wayne Gretzky. But when you sized up the end of the game, and then you evaluated the players that just played this game, well, which guys were impact in all aspects of the game? And that's where Trotz jumped out at. He was a guy that, man, he was effective, and okay, Trotz, you didn't have the hardest shot in the league, and you weren't the fastest skater in the league. But when you added up at the end of the game with all the columns, who had the biggest number would be Trotz.
Bob Johnson would have a $5. He'd give $5 at the end of a practice for I don't know, maybe it was shootout, or he'd have okay, who can win the fastest down to the net, in the shortest period of time, and money on the line. I was always right there at the end. I was like, dang nabbit, I gotta have $5. What can I do with $5? It was hilarious. Goofy stuff we do, Larry.
Oh yeah. During the season, you have to find those things. Nice little relief from the pressure because you can get eaten up by it. It's a long season, and it's all about performance. And when you have those fun little things, it helps.
Yeah, that's the competitive nature that comes in. So a lot of what you're saying, Larry, is there's Nicklas Backstrom. A lot of Nicklas Backstrom, what everyone would say about him is kind of what you're saying about Trottier. And I know Barry Trotz made that comparison once. Is that a fair comparison?
Oh, it definitely is. It's I always, there's guys that are great to watch and exciting, and fans gravitate towards that style of play because it's just so rambunctious in one sense or the other. But hey, if you want to win, if your goal is to win, well then, Backstrom's the guy you want, or Trottier is the guy that you want on your team, because they produce results. They're result driven. I mean, anything that they ever do on the ice is what gives my team the best chance to win.
I'm a big Backstrom fan. Like he's creative. He's deceptive. He's got eyes. I think he's got more than two eyes in his head. He's coming with the left, right, center, below, above. But his hands are very nifty. I mean, he can finish. He can pass. He's got the sauce pass. I mean, he does a lot of stuff that's very, very fun to watch. And no, he's one of those dynamic players he's got a lot more dynamic than I have, but maybe I got a little more sting in my game, but I think he stings you when you least expect it, which is kind of fun. Like he can rock a guy, but he doesn't waste his energy trying to do it.
You talked about Ovi and that shot, the hammer, and the one-timer in the Ovi office that everyone knows is coming, and yet he still scores and scores and scores. We call him here the greatest goal scorer of our generation. Maybe the greatest pure goal scorer of all time, but you played with the guy who also may be the greatest pure goal scorer of all time, and Mike Bossy, because the amount of goals and the short amount of time that he actually played before the health gave out is remarkable. So when you look at the two and compare the two, is there one that you could say is a better pure goal scorer, or is it not fair to make that type of comparison?
A different time, like they play different generation. I think it's a fair comparison, and it's fun to be compared. So if somebody brings up my name and they're comparing me against Backstrom or anybody, it's always kind of fun to be compared, or be in the same sentence as somebody. Like one time there's a competition, who's the greatest player to ever come out of Saskatchewan? And I came in second behind Gordie Howe. And my mom was madder than a hornet because you could vote as many times as you want. She phoned the radio station like 40 times. She's like, oh, man, I thought you were going to win hands down. I'm like, Mom, I'm in the same sentence as Gordie Howe. Are you kidding me? And I wasn't upset at all. And radio station called me. They wanted controversy. Oh, you came in, you got more cups than Gordie. I'm like, Gordie is way, way better. Like he's just Mr. Hockey, and rightfully so. But no, it's fun to make those comparisons. Mike, to me, will always be the purest of goal scorers because he could score so many different ways. The quickness of his shot, the release of his shot, the one-timer. Like he magnified the one-timer. He magnified hitting the knuckleball one-timer because you throw him any bad pass, he'd gobble it up and get it on the net. He one-touch a puck and bang it on the net and catch a goalie, backhand, dekes and slap shots off the wall. Like it was just uncanny how many 5-hole goals he scored. But and that's I think Mario, Wayne, their numbers are very impressive, but Mike's goals per game I think are still way above everybody else's, the Guy Lafleurs and all those great goal scorers of that generation. Now you're looking at Ovi and you look at his numbers and what he's able to do in this kind of style of hockey with the speed of the game, the transitional aspect of it, the strength of him. Like he's a powerful boy. Like he's a powerful kid. And how he uses his strength to his ability and the powerful shot. I mean, he's more than one dimension. Like he puts a sting on people, and he's hard to move, and he's heavy on the puck. And those things are tremendous assets. So like he's a pure goal scorer in the greatest sense. And that's not to say he's not the greatest of this generation, without a doubt. I would agree with that moniker for sure. But it's fun to see those comparisons of just different generations of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, and to see all these different dynamics and how the game's evolved and defenses and systems that are trying to take away ice and that kind of stuff. And the size of the players, Larry, they're so big, there's no space out there. So no, he's a good player.
Yeah, and plus two, I think one thing that he's got going for him is complacency is not in his vocabulary, and that's to have that kind of drive for that length of time is impressive. It's like none other. I think he just has that tenacity and package that in with the skill set that Trotz talked about, and then you're getting huge numbers, and of course it didn't help losing those games this season, but still, is he going to catch Wayne Gretzky in terms of goals? I can't see how he's not going to, because I can't see any sort of fall off on his play because he's not going to allow it.
So, yeah, that was going to be my next question. Gretzky at 894, Ovi's at 706, and you're right, losing these handful of games is such a killer. I'll ask both of you Hall of Famers that played with Gretzky, can Ovi break the unbreakable record?
I think so. Go ahead, Larry.
Sorry, Trotz. Yeah, I just a simple comment. I mean, the pace he's at is, of course, he needs to remain healthy. I don't think determination is going to be an issue with him. It's just a case healthy, and he decides to play long enough. He's good. I think he's going to do it. But I mean, it's no given because, yeah, as we found out a couple of months ago, man, there's no guarantees with anything. So, if I was a betting man, I would say he's going to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's got a great shot at it. I think he certainly has the drive to do it. I think but he also has a good support staff. Like, look at his team he's on. I mean, he's got some good players to play with, and they're a dynamic group. So they all stay together in this crazy free agent world that we live in. But I think he's one of those guys. I wouldn't bet against at all.
I really appreciate the time here. And just a couple more quick questions. Larry, for you, we're all waiting now to see what the decision is going to be on the end-of-year award winners. John Carlson, was running away with it for most of the season. I think he was going to, push 90 points had they played the entire season this year. Would he be your pick for the Norris Trophy?
Yeah, I think it was pretty well given, and it is given. I mean, he will win the Norris Trophy this season, and boy, he's just a guy that the last couple of years has just really found how to elevate his game that much more. It's impressive. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, of course, I mean, next season's now kind of in flux. So we don't know how that's going to look in terms of him, but I mean, hey, 100-point season by a defenseman and to piggyback on Trotz talking about Ovechkin, as long as the Caps are competitive and a very deep group, who knows? I would put it by him, but yeah, he's a guy that's on the power play. I mean, the shot, passes the puck so well, and he made the decision the last couple of years that he wants to be the best, and that's determination and commitment right there again. And he's basically elevated himself to that upper echelon of defensemen.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Larry said. Like, he really hit a nail on the head. Like, the last couple of years, he's not underrated anymore. He's not one of those guys that can slide under the radar. I mean, he's front and center. Like, he's a number one defenseman. He's a top defenseman. He's an all-star defenseman. Had the chance to visit with him shortly at the All-Star game. I believe it was out in LA, and what a good kid. I mean, just had his family there. And I'm always so proud of the hockey guys when you get that first impression of somebody. And so you end up, like, even though he's like, I've never been a teammate of mine, you end up liking the kid, because he's just a good, genuine kid. So that, kudos to him. I think those things shine bright. And so I hope and I believe that he's as popular a teammate as he appears because, he distributes the puck well, he sees the ice well, jumps in the attack, first outlet pass, all those wonderful things that a top defenseman can do. And he's got some wheels. I mean, he can jump and size. He's got a lot of attributes. So continued success to Big John.
Bryan, for you, and this is for both of you, but Bryan, I'll let you go first. No one knows how this is going to play out moving forward. They're trying to come up with the safest plan they possibly can. I know, I spoke with Lars Eller a couple of weeks ago. He hopped on a podcast with us and he said, look, I got a baby coming in August. I don't want to be quarantined away from my family for who knows, 2-3 months, if that's what needs to be. Do you think hockey will come back, and should it come back and try and finish this season if at all possible?
Well, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I think for me, like, we all had children during our careers, and yeah, we don't want to miss the birth, we don't want to miss all that fun stuff. But that's part of the game. Like, if it happens in December, it happens in March. You're playing hockey, it happens in playoffs. It just is what it is with babies. But I hope that everybody gets to experience the birth of a child. The other thing I don't want to offend anybody is, like, I think everything's been a little. I think everybody's done too much. I think we got to get back to common sense on some of this stuff. Like, I think we've quarantined way beyond what we should. I think they're taking way too many. I think just we have to figure this out. And I think it's wonderful in a unique way that they want to finish the season. It's wonderful in a unique way that they're capable of doing it in a unique way. I'm interested to see how this is all going to play out in that fashion. I'm sure it's going to have some asterisks next to it that, at the end of the year, shortened season, pandemic, whatever they want to call it, and how they're going to start the next season. So there's a lot of things. I as a juggler, balls in the air kind of thing, how this plays out. As a hockey fan, I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying how they're putting this out in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I just think they're being overly cautious, beyond caution. And it seems like nobody wants to get beat up and be the first sport team to do it. And they're trying to do it as responsible as they possibly can. Like we all are trying to be responsible citizens. But as sport fans, I mean, I'm like, okay, let's congregate. Let's get this game going. I'm hungry like everybody else is, but I'm done being quarantined. I'm done being overly cautious. I'm just going to be cautious from now on.
Yeah, I think I'm glad they're finding a formula to finish the season and crown a champion. I like that it's different, it's unique, so that's special. With the 24 teams, the process is going to be very interesting, something we haven't seen before. So I'm excited about that. And in terms of safety, there's no guarantee in anything about being 100% safe. I think we're at the point now in terms of what we know about the COVID and about the testing and the information we have on it, that they can do it safely. Hey, there's a chance. So one of the players might come down with it. They're going to have to test every day and make sure that they pull that player aside, so to speak. But yeah, there's going to be a little risk there, but I think it's tolerable. And as Trot said, I think it was smart what the league did by shutting down. But I think it's time now, with the right safety factors in place. I think we can tolerate that. The risk is manageable and tolerable. There's no guarantees in anything in life. I mean, I walk outside in the street, I'm taking a chance I'm getting hit by a car. So that doesn't mean I should sit in my house for the rest of my life. So I think the league has been very responsible. They've been patient. And I think when the time is right, they're gonna finish the season. And hey, as a hockey fan, man, bring it on. I mean, I miss it. So I can't believe how much I miss it. So I'm looking forward to seeing those games.
Last question for you guys. What do you guys think of my broadcast partner, Alan May, as a player? Larry?
Well, I put Alan May in that category of guys that play with a lot of heart and a lot of commitment and made it to the National Hockey League based on desire. But still an effective player. He was a guy that on the ice, if you pass him the puck, he was going to do the right thing with it. Not known. I mean, we're not grouping him in with Ovechkin, but tough to play against, gritty, a depth player on a roster, and a guy that when you're on the ice with him, you better keep your head up. So because he's bringing it.
I think he's a popular player for his team, a guy you want on your team because he's a presence. He makes a presence felt. He wants to be involved in the game. On the bench, you can see he's vocal. On the ice, you see he's engaged. He's attacking. He's bumping. He's grinding in your face. And then those kinds of players, find a way to work their way into the favor of your teammates' heart and into the hatred of the opposition. And that works both ways. So, Alan was one of those guys. He had a little grit in him, and he was fierce.
Yeah. So for you, Rob, you find it uncomfortable working with him versus in the situation playing against him, right?
At times, yes. At times, I have been uncomfortable working with him. Yeah, he's threatened to punch me a few times. If I have an opinion that doesn't jive with his, he'll let me know right away that I never played the game and how stupid I am. Yeah, but all in all, he's
got the threat. You just only had the threat. You didn't actually get the punch. See, like the threat.
Yeah, correct. Well, he looked at me and pretty much sized me up right away that I would not handle it well. So
the Belmore roots.
That's right. I'm just
attack those Belmore roots.
No, I'm a little Jewish kid from Long Island. I don't really take well to too much physical punishment. So yeah. But seriously, guys, I really appreciate this. Again, Bryan, thank you. Thank you for 4 Stanley Cups when I was a kid and some of the greatest memories of my lifetime. and for an amazing career. And Larry, 4 Stanley Cups as well, and 2 separate all-time great teams. And you guys, again, are going to be part of this 3 Ice that's coming out in June of 2021, which I think is going to just fill a void where hockey fans are going to need some hockey, and it's going to fill that void. And I think it's got a chance to be really a lot of fun to watch. So, guys, thank you for your time, and best of luck with this moving forward.